Okay, guys, alternate ending. Take 43.
With so many movies on the net and TV, it's kind of hard being up and film savvy. Do you catch a show while you're on the go? And how do you know what to keep or what to throw? How do you know what to keep or what to throw? Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Now, please give a warm welcome to the hosts of Alternate Ending.
Welcome to Alternate Ending. We're discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I'm your host, film school dropout Robert Jarosinski. Across from me is our casual moviegoer, Carrie Jarosinski, and our very own critic in residence, Tim Brayton. Following last night's Oscars, we're doing the Walk of Shame with a recap, since Carrie is actually wearing, Carrie, you're wearing the same clothes. Didn't even bother changing from last night?
The undershirt's different.
Oh, okay. I did not.
The makeup is the same. But actually, I think day 2 makeup actually has an appeal. The smoky eye.
May I ask the question, whose undershirt are you wearing? Like, who's your designer?
This is, I think this is JCPenney circa 2007.
Oh, so you're going for like a retro trashy chic vibe?
That's exactly what I was going for. Trashy. Trashy chic. I'm glad that's coming across. Yeah.
We had an audience member point out, and I think it's super fitting that we're called alternate ending. They said, hey, last night's Oscars had an alternate ending. So before we really get into, lowlights, highlights, talking about hosting and all that, let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way, and then we don't have to talk about it anymore. What happened last night?
Oh my God. So
are you talking about that one girl's dress? The yellow dress?
Yes, the one girl's dress. That's what I'm talking about.
What happened? I don't know what you were thinking there.
No. So obviously the wrong Best Picture got announced, which is unprecedented as such. Apparently there was one other time in the 50s when the wrong category was announced, or the wrong winner was announced. Different category. I don't know the details. But this is the entirety of the Oscar ceremony is designed to prevent this kind of thing from happening, and it made for great television. Like, I
agreed.
I thought it was the perfect cap to what I thought overall was a really enjoyable Oscars to watch. But boy, it's going to really haunt a lot of people for a long time, and I feel like it's always going to be this kind of weird asterisk on the Moonlight win, because even though it won fair and square, it's always going to have this like weirdness that it gets associated with in the history books, which is just horribly unfair.
I don't think anybody could have handled it better than everybody did, though.
It was
was it Warren Beatty?
Yeah, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway.
I was so glad that he actually came out and was like, I am not a senile old man. Like, look at the card. Just look at the card. So, like, it didn't leave anyone to speculate, like, is he losing it or something? Like, he was, like, very clear that it was wrong. And then the announcer guy, Jimmy Kimmel, handled it well, too, like, taking a jab at himself and a joke, like, at the end. I thought everybody handled it well.
To Tim's point, I do feel bad that it does mar an otherwise really, I think, pretty good, really good Oscars. It's one of the better Oscars that I've seen overall, just my perspective on how, all the things that they did. I thought it was a above average, if not great Oscars for the most part. And then, that it was enjoyable to wonder what the heck is going on and see people scrambling around. It did make for good TV. I did feel bad for Warren Beatty, because the initial reactions on social media were, he read the wrong winner. Number one, he didn't read the winner. It was Faye Dunaway. So if we're being picky about it, Faye Dunaway read the wrong winner. But you could tell that, in watching the video again, that he was trying to figure out what to do. And I don't know what I would do in that situation.
Yeah, no, it's live television. Millions and millions of people are watching. Even an old pro like Warren Beatty, needs guidance from directors and producers. And apparently the producers were just like not sure why he was. Well, they assumed like Faye Dunaway did. It's like, oh, Warren, you're being such a kidder. And I certainly said some very uncharitable things about Warren Beatty's mental state in the room before it became clear what was going on.
I was about ready to jump on. No, me too. I mean, I was about ready to jump on that bandwagon. But I think that's the problem a little bit with how quickly we can deliver content into the media stream, and then you can't you can delete a tweet or whatever. You can delete a post on Facebook, but it's out there, and then people absorb it.
Right.
And then now Warren Beatty is this figure where,
And obviously if he had nothing but presence of mind, he could have handled that in a clearer way. He could have just said, excuse me, I think we have a problem. But he's on live television.
He's a lot of pressure.
He's not going to do that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, and we won't harp on this too long, because I think it tarnishes a little bit, obviously the Oscars, but who ends up better out of this? Is Moonlight in a better situation or La La Land?
Well, I think it's actually
producers?
So the producers of La La Land, I think, came across as fairly like earnest, level-headed people. I felt terrible for the people accepting for Moonlight. They clearly were like, what is going on? What are we doing right now? I think, it was an impossible situation for them to deal with, and they didn't get their speeches, which is terrible for them. Because, like, that's a great moment, and it's a moment these producers probably won't have again. I think one of the things that has come up, I've seen on the internet, if the roles had been reversed, can you imagine just the epic scale hellfire that would be happening right now? I do think... I think setting aside like the issue of what happened on the night itself, which doesn't reflect well on anybody, but I think a lot of people did the best they could with an impossible situation. I do think the outcome, as a devotee of La La Land, I think is good for the movie, just because now it has the producers seem like decent people, which they maybe didn't before, and B, now La La Land is freed from the pressure of being a Best Picture winner, which was, I think, not going to reflect well on it historically, and now it can just be like, oh, that musical. And I think that's a better place for it to be in.
It's just funny if this was going to happen, what the worst possible time, like it couldn't have been at least a minor category where it was not the pinnacle, and with all the disjointed, the non-unity or the unity that they're trying to create with this, and the building up to it was all about this kind of unity, and then to have it be, it couldn't have been scripted any better.
Well, did either of you
show.
see M. Night Shyamalan's tweet?
No, I missed that one.
He tweeted about half an hour after this happened, I wrote the end of the Oscars. We got him, Jimmy, or something like that. He was like, oh.
Well, speaking of Jimmy Fallon, we were talking about hosting duties. Carrie, what did you think about Kimmel's hosting?
I thought he was hilarious. Just every little bit. I don't know if I was just in a really good mood, and I don't know if I had a low bar or low expectations, because a couple of years we've watched, I haven't thought that highly of the hosts. I thought he was hysterical. His timing, there were a couple, obviously he had to handle a few impromptu reactions to things, which his reactions were hilarious too. And just, I don't know, I thought everything was good.
Yeah, I thought he killed at his jokes, and his deadpan way of handling things, and his kind of, I don't really care, and the constant going back to Matt Damon it got a little bit maybe played out for me, but for the most part, not being a song and dance guy, and a lot of times that's who the Oscars ends up selecting for to be the host. I thought he pulled it off well. Let the song people to handle the songs, let the dance people handle the dances. I'm just going to host and be engaging and facilitate. And I thought he did a great job.
I thought he was terrific. I don't like him. Like, I don't really know his show very well. I only really see it when I'm visiting my parents, and my mom has it on, and like I'm visiting with her, sort of not paying attention to the show. He was a great fit for the room. He found like a really good sort of, he led the room in terms of the vibe of how serious are we going to be in talking about politics. And he sort of found, I think, the really natural level for that. I think a lot of his bits worked in ways that I don't usually think they work on his show. And I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think the Matt Damon thing paid off so beautifully with the We Bought a Zoo.
Oh my gosh.
Which was the payoff to two different running gags throughout the show, and that was just incredible.
So we both like
I love
that movie. So no, to see the humor in it, and then it did pay off, and then for Ben Affleck later to come on and Matt defending the role a little bit, and
so
then Ben, it was good.
It was funny too, though, how when you only take snippets of a movie, how it can really look lame. So like, I loved that movie in its totality.
How he makes 2 words sound like. Makes it feel like 3 words.
That's a really good line.
It was awesome. It did make it seem like a cheesy movie, even though everyone should see that movie if you haven't. But that was hilarious, that whole bit.
So we had an opportunity in advance of the Oscars, like we always do, and more formally now that we're an integrated unit, to have some predictions, and we shared those predictions on our website as well. How did we fare, Tim? I know you were kind of in charge of tabulating.
So I tabulated this, and unfortunately, we do not have a winner among the 3 of us. Rob, you and I tied.
All right.
Even though we overlapped on, I believe, 21 of 24 categories, we made the same predictions. Our correct 16 predictions were not the same 16 correct predictions. You correctly guessed that Casey Affleck was going to win Best Actor, and I broke from you on, I believe, live action short.
Okay.
I said it was going to be Sing.
Who did you have for Best Actor?
I had Denzel.
Oh yeah, I had Casey Affleck.
You had-
I think
Yeah.
Denzel had Denzel on his list
Yeah.
as well too,
Well, those
based on
tears weren't
the
like,
tears in his eyes. Poor
tears of
guy.
happiness, yeah.
There was clearly like that. My heart does not necessarily bleed for Denzel, even though I think the performance was amazing and is going to be. It will live in history as one of the great screen performances. I think it's his best performance. He's got 2, and
You don't need much more than 2,
no,
right?
No one needs more than 2.
Yeah. So much
Do you feel
space.
like
And he's also-
objectively that weighs in on the Academy when they're making their votes? Like, oh well, he's got 2.
In
so
the acting categories, I think it does.
okay.
Less so than it used to, because I mean, it used to be so many. Like every year would have one transparent. We're giving you this because you never got an award. That hasn't happened for a few years, but yeah, it happens. And also, by all accounts, Denzel Washington is not a terribly like pleasant human being face to face. So if that's going to be his response to losing, like that's too bad.
Yeah.
And Carrie, you fared well. I think you were right around your average with
Yeah,
what it was.
you got 11.
11.
And congratulations to Carrie for being the only person to get Best Documentary Short.
Is it life animated, right?
That would be a documentary feature.
That's what I meant. That's totally what I meant. Which one was it that I picked?
You picked The White Helmets.
The White Helmets.
Yeah.
And Rob
yeah.
picked Extremis, and I picked Joe's Violin. Which,
Right.
And,
I knew
you
that
know,
wasn't
for
gonna
us,
win.
Carrie. I know, Tim, you're well informed with probably all of these categories. Kind of the fun for Carrie and I were to go through some of these and just figure out reasons of why we were picking them, and that made for a little bit of fun for me too.
You know
What
what,
made
though?
you choose White Helmets? And I can't remember right off the bat.
I don't really want to give you my reasons because I don't feel as though
you want to protect your formula
I want
for
to
next
protect
year.
I feel like it's a system I have. Here's something I'd like to point out though. So you said I got 11, right? I remember a few years ago. This year I actually committed myself to watching a lot of these movies, more than I've ever watched ever in my life. And since knowing Rob, I've picked up my movie watching. Like 4 years ago, I got 15 of them right, and I didn't see any of the movies. So it's not making me feel that good about
Well,
my
the thing is, other
picks.
than, and I mean, I was going to say other than the short categories, but as you proved yourself, like it doesn't necessarily matter. Other than the short categories, I don't find that it helps.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
usually just knowing what movies have been popular, knowing what the plots of the movies are is all you need to know.
Right.
And usually with documentary short, if the word Holocaust appears in the description of a plot, then you know to pick that one. This
Yeah.
year it did not. Joe's Violin is about a 91-year-old Holocaust
Isn't that what
survivor.
White Helmets is about? The Holocaust? That's why I picked it.
It is actually not. It is about Syria.
Syria.
Oh, man. I wish I had bad taste. Never mind.
I can try to edit this out later. No problem.
Edit me out there. Thanks.
Tim, if 16 for you, for me 16 is probably a
impressive.
good year. It's a little bit above average here. I think I average about 15 picks, but a little bit of a down year for you, right?
My average is about 17 and a half. And a couple of years ago, I had a really, really good year. I think I had 21 2 years ago. So like
Whoa.
every year that I don't get 21 is a year that I feel disappointed, which is insane because I've only ever done 21 twice in my life. But
And speaking of predictions, before we get to our highlights and lowlights from the Oscars, we actually had a couple Oscar contests going on. So I thought now would be a good time to maybe get the winners announced, pay them a little homage as well. So every episode, the first contest, every episode, we select one member of our audience who shared either a top movie pick. This time it was share what you're most excited about for the Oscars. And our random person who won was Laurel Hose, a longtime friend of the show and actually former classmate of Tim and I.
congratulations to Laurel.
Yeah, congrats, Laurel.
Very, very lovely human being who I haven't spoken to in much too long.
We also had an Oscar ballot contest where just for signing up and picking your Oscar winners on our ballot contest, we were going to pick one person to win a $50 gift card. The random person who won the $50 gift card was Ed Rodriguez. So congratulations, Ed, for being random.
Where's Ed from?
Ed, I believe, was from California, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have that handy at the
Yay,
moment.
Ed.
But yeah, good job, Ed.
Woo.
Way to be random. And then the overall winner of the Oscar ballot contest for having the most correct picks and outdid us, Tim. There were
I know.
There were 3 people who outdid us. So with 17 correct answers, the winner is Kathy Clark. So we had to go to our tiebreaker for that, Kathy. So congratulations on winning a $100 gift card.
Congratulations, Kathy. You are wiser than I am, so you should undoubtedly become our critic in residence.
I think
going
that's not a bad
That's how
idea.
it works. Basically, is whoever loses the Oscar pool is banished from the website.
Has to sit in our basement.
Laurel, Ed, Kathy, go ahead and shoot us an email at contact@alternating.com for details how to claim your gift cards and free movie rental. If you want to win free movies or be part of contests, be sure to check us out on Facebook, where we're doing top 5 movie posts on Facebook and Twitter. Share your favorite picks, and then every once in a while we'll have a fun little contest maybe to give away gift cards. Also, I want to give a little bit of time to our Patreon folks. Direct from our website, you can access our Patreon page, which provides you with a ton of perks that you get access to. Since the last episode, we had 2 folks contribute, getting our Critics' Choice Award, Max Jacobson and Daniel Schusted. Daniel's going to be getting to have us review a movie for him, Care. So,
do you know what it is yet?
I don't know. I haven't heard back from him yet, so I'm excited to see what that's going to be. And then before we get to highlights and lowlights, I want to go through quickly and recognize all the people who are making purchases through our Amazon. Doing it is easy. Just go to our website, alternating.com, click on our Amazon banner, and seamlessly go about your purchases. All proceeds go to making our show better. Since the last episode, here are the things, and we had a lot of them, things purchased. So we had a photo album purchased. We had a couple of books purchased, Machiavelli, International Security, Transformational War, a couple of Batman-related material. We also had some micro scrubs, some St. Ives apricot scrub purchased. You guys exfoliate?
I do not.
Does it look like I exfoliate?
Yeah.
I'm wearing makeup from yesterday.
Gets the dead skin off. That's always
I have
good.
those like horrible knobbly elbows that I should exfoliate.
Oh, body exfoliation. I didn't even thought about that. That's like
bar.
a whole other thing. Also, a couple of grocery items purchased.
Too, yeah.
I felt like, that's more of a common thing, is starting to get groceries on it. We had some Captain Crunch purchased. Not my favorite cereal, but I understand they're the Captain
Everyone
Crunch
goes
lovers.
with the Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the best. So
I mean, I just, the thought of, so I have a stoop. I do not have a house. And my stoop is weather dependent. So the thought of ordering cereal is just like, no.
you can't do that.
You would have like a block of Captain Crunch flavored like oat paste, I feel.
Well, a couple other things purchased. Had some DVDs and books as well purchased. Really appreciate, guys. That really means a lot to us. It helps us keep the show going. So go out there and make purchases through our Amazon banner. It really helps. Okay, guys. So what were some of your highlights? We'll start with Tim this time.
Well, highlights. Just, Kimmel's performance as a whole, like I said before, was really surprising to me. I thought the Matt Damon thing was a highlight. I got to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
Also, I want to call out a low light for me that turned into a highlight. So when he was having the tourists come into the auditorium, which felt like a super Kimmel-y bit. It's like, no, this is some middleweight late night chat show garbage. And he got so lucky to have that guy from Chicago who like just suddenly turned this kind of hokey bit into like this delightful human event where like
Such
this
a
guy's
risk.
like
Such a
kissing all of the famous actresses on the hand and like getting quote unquote
Kissing
married
his
by
fiance
Denzel.
too.
And then when the fiance was like, well, my favorite actor is that man right over there. It's like, oh, that's perfect. Like you can't script that. You can't plan that.
And I love that he was carrying her purse. He
So
was carrying his wife's purse.
He
And I was like, oh, you're so cute.
I loved them. Like they redeemed a bit that was like clearly about to die.
And kudos again to Kimmel for the improv on the moment where, hey, you don't need to be taking a selfie. This is in fact recorded.
Right.
So
that was great.
You're going to be fine.
That was great.
Any other highlights?
Well, I don't want to steal everybody's time, but like I would certainly say, one of the big highlights for me, seeing Viola Davis win because she's amazing.
Yeah, she
and we all love
is.
her, and we're so happy that she won finally.
And her dress.
She should be on like Oscar 12 by now, but one is good enough. Oh my God, her dress.
Her dress. I'm so glad
That
you're here,
was
Tim, so we
so
can talk about her
good.
dress. Rob doesn't know what she was wearing.
Oh yeah, we had an Oscar contest going on. I was busy, had some hosting duty, so
Sure.
missed the runway. I missed all
Back
that
to the
stuff.
dress.
But go for it.
you
Yes.
clearly you cared about the dresses. You just didn't have time.
That's right. And her arms.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
super ripped and like her physique.
And like
ugh.
the whole like the bodice just shows off
Yeah.
her shoulders and
So
everything
strong.
so well. And like red is such a good color for that woman.
Totally.
She looks so beautiful in red.
Her speech was awesome too.
Her speech
by the
was
way.
great.
Powerful
like it
and
was
emotional.
like it like hit the ground at open weeping and this just didn't let up, which is like
No.
a thing she does wonderfully anyway.
Yeah,
like she's
totally.
one of our best weepers. Oh man, that speech. I didn't love the speeches. There were not really any speeches that I loved, but hers was just
Hers was
an
good
all-time
though.
speech.
I thought it was good. Yeah. Although she didn't get the thing from Fences with like the snot. I thought maybe she would do that for effect.
that would have
no.
been
All over
that
the
would have been
top.
pushing it a little bit for live
Thank
TV. But yeah, no.
But yeah,
she
that was
huge
really
highlight
good.
for me. Just the dress, the speech, the fact that she won.
Yeah.
For what might actually be my favorite performance of last year.
Yeah.
Or certainly in the running.
Yeah, I thought her speech was awesome too, and on point. I think I don't know why this one keeps sticking with me when you said this, was the specific Jimmy Kimmel one where he's doing like the bit, and then it's when the music comes on and it cuts to him being like the conductor, and I don't know why I thought that whole
playing Madoff.
He was
with the music.
It felt kind of Bugs Bunny to me. It was like like Matt Damon is Elmer. And Bugs Bunny's down in the pit conducting the orchestra to make like
and there was something very funny about that to me. I don't know why. Yeah, I found it really lighthearted and funny, and like I don't know, there was something about that I liked.
What highlights for you, Care?
Well, I also in the dress category, did anyone notice Emma Stone's dress?
Yeah, the room I was in sort of was bagging on her, but I think the room I was in was just bagging on everything La La Land related because why not?
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was
kind of cool to look down on La La Land. Now it's trendy.
Now is not because it lost. So
right. So now everyone comes back. It's like you want to lose because no one really likes a winner, you know, unless you're Moonlight.
Yeah, but to return to Emma Stone's dress, I thought it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the color was good. I really liked the lines on the dress, like the way it sort of formed like a chandelier thing.
At what point, so I feel like her speeches, or when I've heard her talk in the past, she's very much like, I don't know how I won this. Like she always just seems very shocked and like that she's new to Hollywood. She kind of has that vibe in all of her speeches. At what point do you cross that bridge into being like, I'm a really good actress and I deserve to be here and I'm not going to... You know what I mean?
It's hard to say. I don't know. Do you remember a couple of years ago when Anne Hathaway was running through Winning Everything for Les Miserables, and she kept doing that, and people like turned on her in a really ugly way. It's like, you know you're going to win. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about the point you're making too, and it wasn't a low light, but it was just an observation that I had. I think what you recognize when you see speeches now, because they would stitch speeches together, you can see how very there are common elements of what makes an Oscar speech, and so. I think there is a point where you just, where do you go off script and have a memorable speech versus where you just stick to, where you're able to stitch together line after line, no matter who is going up to actually give the speech.
Yeah.
That was interesting, but it's interesting they did that because to me it just shows like, I guess there aren't very many interesting
These
speeches.
are generic.
They're
like,
very generic
acceptance speeches are generic. That's the problem. But no, and I do think like, did Emma Stone know she was winning? I mean, maybe she didn't. Like, it's the Oscars. It's not like, the St. Louis Film Critics Circle or whatever. Right. Like, it's a big deal. And it's got. And
you're up against really awesome performances. So, maybe she didn't know. But anyway. But I'm trying to think of what my low light was. Oh, what did you guys think about, because this is actually kind of, for me, it's a high-end low light, but Mel Gibson's reaction. So kind of a highlight.
I kind of loved him a little bit.
I loved Mel at the Oscars.
His face, though.
His face. What was going on? Like we were trying to figure. Did he have like a terrible Botox experience like half an hour before?
And then he was like frozen. So when he makes the rip on him, he's just standing there with this like glued face.
Like he literally couldn't have reactions. Like his reactions were just sort of like how big were his eyes?
I know
his mouth was immobile.
Agreed.
I know it's the year of redeeming Mel Gibson, and he did a lot for himself to be able to get there too. He was the butt of some jokes, and he was taking it like a champ.
Well, he just took it with a frozen face. He just didn't smile or frown.
Like, it's hard to tell if he was being a good sport or if he'd like. I mean, his like lips looked like they were melting into his teeth. I don't even know how to describe it. It was kind of
weird.
But I loved the reactions.
So
like
let's call it a highlight.
One single time that they cut to him, we always laughed. It was great.
Agreed.
Now, highlights for me, there were quite a few actually. The opening was awesome. Say what you want about Justin Timberlake and the song from Dance. He got that room energized. And I was able to catch just a little bit of it, but everybody was on their feet, and there was a palpable energy from our viewing party as well as it appeared at the Oscars too. Everybody was really excited to get Oscars going, and it stayed up at that level. And the other thing, and it was more of a thematic thing that they had, tying back to your Matt Damon kind of watching things and people commenting on movies that they loved, and then bringing out that person who they admire with the person who was viewing it. And so the Seth Rogen, Michael J. Fox.
That played really well.
Yeah.
That really got me. And we had our viewing party, people were applauding and standing up.
Tearing up. There were a lot of tears,
I don't keep up with Michael J. Fox's current stuff. I know that he's still appearing, like I think he's a regular guest star on some show. Just like seeing how on point his comic timing still is was just amazing.
Yeah.
Like that was so great.
And just paying tribute to the people who inspire you, and then having the opportunity to go on stage and present the award, whoever whoever's if that's a done something they've done before in the past in the Oscars, I haven't seen it as much, but
I like that too.
Well executed and sincere. It just felt very sincere.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that part of the Oscars.
And on to that point, and I think it was incorporated very poorly. And I think the way to do this, so one of the things they didn't do was they didn't have introductions for each of the individual Best Pictures, which was weird, and I think this would have been the right point. But when they were presenting Best Documentary and they brought out the old woman from NASA, Katherine Johnson, who I believe was the character Taraji Henson played.
Yes.
That, I mean, to me, as like a NASA buff, that was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you know, obviously she's old. She's a very old woman, and that's fine. But it was just such a great moment. Like that was my favorite of those, like trotting out somebody to celebrate them.
Yeah.
Even though it was like, why is this in documentary? You know, but it was great.
Any specific lowlights? We'll go reverse order. Carrie, I don't know if you want to start us off.
Oh, don't put the pressure on me. I have one.
What bothered you?
What bothered me?
Yeah.
Also Mel Gibson's face.
Yeah, just,
it also bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that was maybe a low when they kept cutting back to it. I don't know. Jump around on me. I got to think.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of like what you were saying earlier, highlight, lowlight. The commercials were actually a highlight for me. I actually thought the commercials during the Oscars were pretty solid. The one that bothered me the most was Rolex. Really forcing their hand, so to speak.
There was a great deal of anguish in the room I was watching that they did not have the clip from Die Hard where the guy talks about his Rolex. And we sort of agreed, well, he's a douchebag. We don't actually like him, so he's not a good salesman. But at the same time, it's like, shots of watches are not, and they're always product placement.
And Oscars did the right thing and a tasteful send off to Bill Paxton, not trying to scramble to get something in a video form, but just having a touching thing that Jennifer Aniston just spoke to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Versus again going back to Rolex, where maybe they had that commercial.
That commercial was locked.
It was locked. You think so?
You don't edit a commercial the morning before you premiere it on national TV.
Okay. Well, then in that case, I guess
it was just very poor timing.
Yeah, just poor timing, because it made it feel a little bit. If that was a choice that they made following, then it's tasteless.
It would have been, but I mean, it's not like Bill Paxton was the focus of the commercial. If it had been, then it would be like, yeah, they did that on purpose.
I will say it did. In our viewing party, it did get a lot of like awes and some sympathy towards it too, and just missing Bill, great actor, great director.
Yeah. Did you guys catch in the In Memoriam? I guess this is also a low light, and I didn't catch it, to be honest, during it. But apparently they put up during the In Memoriam the wrong photo with the name. Did you guys catch that?
No, I didn't catch it.
Now I'm mad at myself. It was somebody for like production, and it was a woman that they put up, and they put up. You look it up and see it was like Jan something or other, but the photo was wrong. It was somebody else that's still alive. The person that they put up was still alive.
That's a double.
That's even worse.
Double error.
Yeah. So I would say that's on my low list, even though I didn't actually catch it at the time. But yeah, what were the other? I'm trying to think things that not a fan of.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I liked this ceremony a lot. I don't think I've liked a ceremony this much in many years.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it washed a lot of the bad taste of many recent Oscars out of the. And even though like there weren't any super inspired jokes, I don't think like the batting average was really high. For me, the lowlights are more just like bits that I don't think quite played. When Kimmel did the Lion King bit with the little boy from Lion, it's like that's corny. It didn't work. I never quite got into the candy being parachuted down. Like I always thought that felt very late night chat show.
Yeah.
That felt like something that Tyra Banks would have done on her short-lived show rather than something that happens at the Oscars. And it's clearly Ellen ordered pizza. What can we do that'll be like Ellen ordering pizza? And like, well, don't. Let that be a fun thing that happened once.
Yeah.
Because Ellen can make that work, and I feel like Kimmel can't really. And, as always, there's the usual list of speeches that maybe weren't great, but I think it's uncharitable to single out people. That being said, the cinematographer for La La Land, Lena Sundgren, felt like he had never spoken a word of human in his life before he gave that acceptance speech. And, it's a big night. He was probably nervous.
Yeah.
It was a bad
I actually
speech.
didn't think he was speaking English at first. And then, because it sounded like he had a really thick accent or something. And
I think he's Swedish.
Yeah, but I couldn't understand him. And so then I thought, oh, maybe they're going to put some subtitles up or something. And then all of a sudden, like, words sort of started to come out halfway through, sort of, and then it ended. So yeah, I agree.
Well, Tim, you made some interesting observations before, too, about looking at because now La La Land winning ended up winning six awards, best director, best actress as well, cinematography,
which for the record, that makes it the third film to win 6 awards in the period of 9 to however many Best Picture nominees, which is tied for second place. Gravity won 7, and no film since 2009 has won more than 7.
And I have, as a casual, and I'm not the casual moviegoer,
don't take my job.
I don't want to take your title or take your job, but
Thanks.
An observation for me is hard is, while I understand the whole movie, the best picture is more than just the sum of its parts. How do I struggle with how do you have the best director with had a best actress performance, you had best cinematography, you had those best qualities, and it doesn't. What did they make?
It's really fascinating if you look at the numbers. So out of the last 5 years, 4 times the Best Picture winner has not also won the most awards that night, which is a more or less unprecedented run. In the 30s, there was a 6-year span where 4 of the winners were not the awards leader for their night. And I don't know really what to make of it. Certainly part of it is that the voting is different for Best Picture than the other categories. It's this really weird, mathematically complex preferential system, which favors movies that nobody dislikes, and clearly people disliked La La Land. But I do think it speaks to a trend in associating. So if you look at what things have won, it tends to be picture and screenplay and very little else. That happened with 12 Years a Slave. It happened with Spotlight. So I think there's an emphasis on Best Picture is the movie that tells the best story, which I find an enormously troubling trend.
Yeah.
I think the Best Picture is the one that has the best use of all of cinema's elements to corral a thing. And there's an X factor involved. Like I see no reason to assume that in the case of 12 Years a Slave, should it have won more Oscars than Gravity? No. And is it a better film than Gravity? I don't think so, but I get why people would. But I do think that it's a weird and alarming thing to see, like, oh no, cinematography and editing and production design and direction, those don't make a good movie. A script makes a good movie. And it's like, well, that's a limited way
I'm with you on the troubling side, because it seems like we're rewarding important movies, and I think that's great.
That's always been the Oscars.
Yeah, and I get it. It's just I want to be rewarding the best movie. That's the name of the category. And it's just, I'd rather see more, and then La La Land has enough praise. People know about it. It's in there. And why not bring a movie in the forefront that didn't perform as well at the box office?
And
that
to
few
be fair,
people know about.
plenty of people think that Moonlight is a better work of craftsmanship than La La Land. The Oscars apparently don't, which is weird. But it's just, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like they want to give the award to the film that seems most consequential. And I think it's very, very rare for actually consequential movies to be also very good, personally.
Well, good. In closing, just want to thank everybody for listening. Thanks to all those who made it out to our Madison Oscar event. Maybe looking to do that every year. Maybe make it an annual thing. We had a nice turnout. Be sure to check us out on social media, on our Facebook page. Go out there and like it so you can follow all of our updates. Follow us on Twitter, and definitely check out alternateending.com, where we're doing regular blog posts, movie reviews. That's where you'll find our podcast as well. You can also subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google. And tune in to our next show, where we'll be talking about our top 5 giant monster movies, not giant monsters, which we clarified here before we got started, on Monday, March 6th.
But to be fair, you cannot have a good giant monster movie with a bad giant monster.
That's true. That's very true. So and something we're starting 2 weeks from when this episode goes live is we're going to be starting our spoiler alert segment, which I'm pretty excited about. Tim, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, a spoiler alert is what we're calling it, less because it's going to be all about, like, let's tell you about the last 2 minutes of the movie, and more because we are going to talk about the ending of the movie. So what we're going to do is every couple of weeks, we're going to do this really deep dive into one film. We're going to spend, 45 minutes to an hour just talking about what is this movie? What is it doing? How does it work? Sort of the like very, I'm Tim and I know movies and let me tell you about them, which, I'm hoping not to make too terribly academic or dry, but
yeah, I'll make sure to bring my pillow.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Lots of coffee as well.
Lots of coffee.
But no, so the idea is we're going to pick a movie. We're going to announce it 2 weeks in advance and just give you a chance to see the movie, think about what is this movie doing? And I'm going to give you some helpful pointers for what you might want to think about. And then it will involve like talking about the whole movie, which is why we're spoiling it, basically. So you need to see the movie before you watch it, or you will find out how it ends. It's very, very, very high stakes. So our first movie, which did not leave the Oscars empty-handed, I anticipated it would, and it is now the very proud winner of a Best Sound Editing Oscar, Arrival, the Denis Villeneuve film. Several of you have seen it. It's reasonably new on DVD at this point, so you should catch up with it. A film that we selected, because it's, it's the Oscar season kind of still, so it's a new movie. People are going to want to talk about it. Also because I feel like Carrie and I have similar thoughts about how it works, and Rob has very different thoughts about how it works.
I always like when we
So
agree.
basically, we have a side that's right, being me, and a side that's wrong, you guys, and that's fine. I mean, in every debate, there's winners and losers, and that's fine.
So the question I want to encourage you to think about as you watch this movie, assuming you want to join in and watch and think about it with us, how does time work in Arrival? Because that's sort of the crux of our disagreement. One of us thinks that it is a time travel movie, and two of us think that it is not a time travel movie, and that's all I'll say about that.
Dun, dun, dun.
But also think about how... The interesting thing to me, and the thing that sort of plays into that exact question, how does the flashback structure work? And I know that's maybe like...
I mean, I know. I figured it out.
That's like a very undergrad-y sort of question, like, so would you like to write a paper about how the flashback structure
Do we have to write a paper for this?
No.
There will be no homework,
Yes.
other than
You
watching
do.
the movie.
You do,
I do.
Carrie. None of the listeners do. No, think about what is the film doing with flashbacks. So I'll tell you if you haven't seen the movie, you see Amy Adams' character with her young daughter. And it becomes fairly quickly, we determine that this daughter is very sick with a fatal disease. She will not survive it.
I don't know that I knew that right away.
Oh, I think it's pretty clear from pretty early on.
Is it?
Within the first half hour, I'd say.
I don't know. We'll talk about it in the spoiler.
So spoiler alert. No, but I mean, I think it informs what we see of the character is, she's this mother who's sort of been damaged by life because her daughter has passed. And how does she cope with that? That is the story the movie's telling, and then how does that not end up being the story the movie's telling? It's, I think, sort of really interesting.
So everybody has 2 weeks between now and then to go check it out. Hopefully it'll be available at some point, I think on Blu-ray at some point
Yeah,
here.
DVD.
I think it is currently
available, so you can go out right now, go to your Redbox.
And you may or may not be able to find it on, I don't think any of the streaming sites have it for free, but you might be able to pay for it on Amazon at
Yeah,
this point.
click through our site.
worth it.
Another excuse to do that. So yeah, we'll catch you guys next week with Top 5 Giant Monsters, and for Arrival, spoiler alert, in 2 weeks. Catch you then.